Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. Thank you for tuning in to this little quickie New Year show. I just wanted to come on and say Happy New Year's. And I wanted to deliver a couple of pieces of advices that has helped me in the past and may help someone. Here we go. Number one, on New Year's, people usually make resolutions. There's nothing wrong with making a resolution, but just make sure it's a resolution that's obtainable by you. Number two, seeing things for what they really are and not for what you would like them to be. That usually results in a backfire. Example, if you're in a relationship and you want to see your spouse as that loving, sweet, irresistible spouse, but yet and still there's other things going on there, stop and actually see that person for who they are. You have opportunities to love that person in a different way when you see them for who they are. The next portion of that would be money. Sometimes we don't see money for what it really is. We see it for what we'd like it to be. Example, we head into the store knowing that we only have X amount of dollars on our credit card or X amount of dollars in our pocket. And instead of seeing it for what it really is, we see it for what we would like it to be. We go in there and shop and run up the totals, and that's when things backfire. So that's not good. The next one on my list is potential. See your potential for what it really is and not for what you'd like it to be. In other words, while making your resolution, make sure you have the capability and the knowledge to do what you need to do. If you don't have the capability and knowledge, start training, do some research. Depends on what your goal is. Maybe you need to do some physical training. Maybe you're wanting to start a podcast or a YouTube channel. Okay, start doing your homework. That's your training. Learn how to do these things. Make sure that your goals is within the potential limits that you have or the potential limits that you're willing to stretch yourself to. The next one is don't make promises that you can't keep or promises that you don't know if you can keep. I'm not going to tell you that I am going to be able to do something 6 months from now. I can tell you that it's my plan to do XYZ 6 months from now, but I can't make it in the form of a promise because life is not promised to us. Days are not promised to us. Our next breath is not promised to us. So be careful about issuing out your promises. That's one thing that we need to stop doing when we make New Year's resolutions. Next is set goals. You can set goals in the form of written lists, a checklist. Make a list of items that you need to get done. Maybe items for that week, maybe items for that day, even maybe items for the next year. Check your list every day. I do. What I do is I use dry erase markers. And with those dry erase markers, I write on my refrigerator. I write on my bathroom mirror. I write on the windshield of my vehicle. That way, every time I get into it, I see my little small list there looking at me, and I'm checking them off and erasing them one by one just as I get them completed. Majority of us are getting in a car every day, and those of us that aren't getting in some type of vehicle to be able to transport every day, I can guarantee you the other majority of us is looking in the mirror every day. Either way. Oh, and the refrigerator, trust me, we're going into a refrigerator to get food. That is one of my number one awesome places to write lists and reminders because I have to look at them every time I go in to get a snack. This will help you be able to keep minded of your goals and tasks that you have at hand. You could set reminders on your phone. I use my phone's alarm all the time to set reminders for myself. Reminders to do something, reminders to pray, reminders if I need to complete an appointment. Things that I need to do for that day or for the week are always popping up on my phone because I've took the initiative to preset them. These are tasks that we need to stay on task. The next thing I wanted to let you know you could do is a vision board. A vision board is a collage of images or words representing a person's wishes or goals. It's intended to serve as an inspiration or motivation to the one who creates it. My favorite way to create a vision board is on my computer. Since I spend a whole lot of time on my computer, whenever I wake it up, I'm always seeing my screensaver. That's how I log in. Well, there is a way you can take the screensaver picture that you have on there now, create a vision board, a collage of pictures and images of things that you want to do, things that you want to obtain, and every time you log into your computer, wham, there is your vision board looking right there at you. You'll always have a moment to go over it, an opportunity to look at it, and of course you can remove those items when you start to complete them. Next, another thing that will help you in the new year is to listen more. This is one of the most valuable traits of all. Most of us listen with the intent to come back with a comeback or a comment of what's being said to us. Example. Say, for instance, you and I are talking about a trip we took. Instead of immediately responding to you with the trip that I took, it won't hurt me to maybe ask you some questions about your trip. Maybe I could ask you, hey, would you take this trip again? I could also say, did your family enjoy the trip? Those would be questions I could ask you to show my interest in your trip. Most people love to talk about themselves, and they will if given the opportunity. In the situation I just described to you, if you never get around to talking to that other person about your trip, it's quite okay. What you have done is cause that other person you're in the conversation with to feel valued and attended to. We should always be on a mission to value each other. That's really important throughout life. Although we don't always do it, it's really important. Now, when it's your time to talk, do you ever wonder what your listener is thinking? Could they be thinking that you're just running your mouth or trying to show off? Or maybe you're some type of braggadocious freak? Or could they actually be paying attention to what you're saying? Who knows? But either way, working on communication this new year, I think is an important thing. Next, value yourself. Know your importance more than any other human being's importance. What I mean is, don't allow people to treat you any old kind of way. Example, you're in a relationship, and what the other person wants to do always seems to be more important than what you want to do. What's your response to this situation? The way I see it, you have two choices. Choice number one, you can continue the pattern of doing what they always want to do, and this allows your validity to continue to be smothered. The results are you end up in an activity or setting that you really don't want to be in again. Choice number two, choose to do what you want to do in spite of the conflict. Go and enjoy yourself. Be by yourself or with friends. This results in you gaining your self-esteem and your value. Look, don't be afraid to date yourself. If you don't want to date you, why would someone else want to? This goes for married couples too. Married people should still be dating each other. Just because you're married doesn't mean you should stop pursuing your spouse. Chase them like you did in the beginning. Don't stop the foot rubs, the flowers, the cards, and the breakfast in bed. I hope millions upon millions of married couples fixed a happy New Year's breakfast in bed for their spouses this morning. Now, that's a way to start a new year. Don't get me wrong, there is no perfect marriage. But you can enjoy marriage if you manage your marriage. My heroes in the marriage sector is my friend Vanessa and her husband John. They have been married for years on top of years. They have been through the good, the bad, the ugly, and yet they still manage to have breakfast alone every Saturday morning. Back when their children were young, they were old enough to stay at home. There were food there for the children to eat, Vanessa made sure of that. But yet her and John still got out the house by themselves. Sunday and all through the week were the breakfasts with the children. However, Saturday a.m. only belonged to her and him. This gave them time away from the children to recap, to think, to rekindle their love, or even to fuss if there were some bad things at hand. Either way, they did it only in the company of each other. This increased their closeness and allowed them to be as one. I'm sure it wasn't an easy task, but their willingness to stick together was awesome. What changes will you make in your life this new year? Brainstorm ideas and get to work. Join me as I'm working on my screensaver vision board. Thank you again for listening. Like, subscribe, share, and leave me a message to let me know what you've decided to work on for this new year. You guys have been awesome. I appreciate you so much. Thank you guys, and Happy New Year to all.